All right, everybody, welcome and welcome back to Mythlanders. We are coming into session 17 now, I believe. Let me double check. 18? Haha, I'm bad at counting. Of Landfall. Here again with Darth Loquitur, Jay Finky, Big Bry, and Pon Pon. Last session we left off after the company received some intense, grim news from a mysterious and unexpected source, the Lear Wise One, known as Brightleaf. After after using the Horn of Mists to move yourself to the grove, or to a nearby misty place very close to the Pillar Hill, it seemed that someone was ready for your coming. The same Wise One and a group of Red Paw warriors. After indicating to you that events were many forces were kind of coalescing around you, and that based on the nature of events, the seer Brightleaf saw only one way to continue to make sure that the work that you began, what you have sort of discovered and begun to bring into the world, had to continue, and there was only one way for that to happen, which is, well, for one of you with healing magic to bleed your life's blood out upon the pillar, a ritual to be conducted while this is done. But to do that, you'll have to first make it through and deal with the defenses, the effort defenses on the Pillar Hill, and the certainty that the moment you engage in combat, that help is going to be summoned from not just Evisar, but probably from nearby companies in the field. If they're close enough and not engaged, will likely be signaled and brought up to the hill. So we left off last session with you all beginning to consider the information that was given to you, to sort of reckon with it, as one might say. And as we begin this session, you all, I believe, have moved off into a small camp with the Red Paw and are discussing events. And those are certainly the broad strokes. There might be certain details you all feel I left out, or feel it's important to share with each other, or insights into things that you wanted to make sure everyone was aware of. So we'll just quickly go through and see if you all have anything to add to the recap, and to say hi to everybody if you like. So, hello everybody, and how about you, Jay Finky? You wanna start? And if there's anything that you thought I missed, go ahead and let us know, or any questions you had about last session too.
Yeah, I don't think I have any pressing questions. I know we kind of got surrounded by and then engaged with kind of the Lear there at the misty forest clearing that we had teleported to, and they are seemed to be peaceful towards us, not really engaging to attack us, and then eventually seemed to speak our language.
Okay.
The They kind of informed us about this need for one of our friends to sacrifice themselves through visions,
Mm-hmm.
and then we decided instead of fighting against the odds of a huge group of Lear, we would go with them to whatever ends that they seem to be after.
Okay. Yeah.
And from there, we discussed kind of who was where, with a lot of our groups still in FSR, a lot of our allies, and then our old kind of commander or leader was at the Pillar Hill. Um, so we were discussing kind of whether or not he was on our side or not on our side. So I was trying to figure out a way to contact said individual and see what they were doing.
Okay, awesome. Did you have any questions you need me to clarify for you before step over to Pon Pon?
Don't
Okay.
believe so.
All right, perfect. So Pon Pon, how about you? Anything that you feel the need to add, remind everybody about, or ask me questions about?
Things are feeling pretty hopeless. I think it's important to maybe state that in sort of a the walls are caving in sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we've just been warned um, that everything's coming for us, basically. And I think I just want to set the stage um, for that mood, you know, going into it as far as the character's inclinations go.
Yeah, absolutely. From near, I think mentioned in in his sort of dry um, way that he'd been searching for purpose or a good death, and this seemed to hit both marks pretty nicely. He said it with his humorless, kind of gruff laugh. Well, how about you, DL? Anything you feel like I left out you wanted to remind everybody of, or things you needed me to clarify?
Kenneth feels like John Smith must have, right? You get on a boat, you go to a new land for some adventure, you find out that the good guys are actually the bad guys, the natives aren't so bad, the world's just not what I thought.
Yeah.
so so that's where Kennett's at right now. He's like he's pretty baffled, and I'm never gonna smoke weed with Red Leaf again. That's all I know.
Probably not the worst idea. Unli or go hard after all.
Oh,
Yeah.
real quick, Small Wonder said that I was really quiet, and I'm just testing if this is any better. I moved my mic closer. I didn't know if that was a problem on the other end.
Cool. I brought you up on my end a little bit too.
Okay,
So hopefully you'll sound better. Yes.
that's better. Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, perfect. Thank you, Deal. How about you, Big Bry? Anything that you wanted to add, refresh anybody's memory on, or clarify?
Um, I don't know if it was. I might have missed it in the beginning, but I mean, from what we understand, I mean, somebody's gonna definitely lose their life at this pillar, right? I don't remember if that was explicitly stated. I know, and Pom Pom was setting the mood with that, so I think just to emphasize that, it's like, we're kind of going into this knowing it's a suicide mission, but as far as Crenshaw is concerned,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is you know, he's like, something needs to get done, something needs doing, and it's time to sack up and do it. It's just this kind of attitude he takes on it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that was gonna be my next. As we start the session, I was gonna sort of. Yeah, but you all did a good job of kind of beginning to give the audience and me an idea of how your characters are thinking about this, how they're engaging it, why maybe why they're going forward with it, and that sort of thing. So let me pop over here, back to roll 20. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and clear out the initiative, and let's see here. You should be able to all go ahead and highlight your tokens and roll initiative. All right, just waiting for one from Big Bry.
Gotta highlight my token first. Good.
Yeah, if you miss it though, I can also grab it. All right.
There we go.
Excellent. So, after a short while passes, maybe small talk in between you, the small sheltered area that Lyra brought you into, they've sort of left. They leave you alone. You can hear them just outside. Sort of there's a lean-to made of just materials from the jungle. There's evergreen leaves sort of covering the top of it. The rain is sort of flowing down it with a gurgling sound, and it's a light rain outside. You can hear the Lear moving just beyond a screen of greenery that hangs around the lean-to. Their sense of privacy, likely a bit different from you all's, as long as there's a door or something that divides the space. You can tell that they're not paying attention, sort of intentionally. So, Kenneth, as you take stock of, look around at your people, and thoughts that you'd mentioned just recently during your recap, sort of swirling through your head, that sense of the world not being what you expected, your role in things, the work that's expected of a person, and the sorts of rewards that they get, maybe all of those things, thrown into a strange, almost I don't know, upside down, or a massive shift. But so as you look around your allies and you consider the Lear's words that suggest it's unlikely any of you will make it out of this if you will move toward this fate that Brightleaf has described for you from his visions and visions of others he was vague about. And certainly to accomplish that act of spreading that ability, that healing ability across the world to those receptive to it, is going to require at least one of your allies giving their life up for it. Of course, also likely also there's some of the plans and potential, thoughts, curiosities, like Zim had mentioned, potentially trying to find some way of sussing out Brahm's personality or temperament, attitude on things. But what does Kenneth do? Say, as a DL, it is your turn at the top of the order.
How far away from said pillar are we now?
You think you're within a quarter of a mile, but that's a long quarter of a mile over hilly, dense jungle. You all traveled pretty swiftly far away with the guidance of the Lear. So you think, with them, it's 10 minutes maybe.
Alright, I'm going to send the owl up above the forest canopy looking for flying Menai or large black flying lizard things.
Okay. So as your owl burst, climbs up through the canopy, through layers and layers of different noise, different biomes almost in each layer of the jungle itself. And the very last is sort of a chittering, cawing, and cackling. Once the owl bursts through this, there's a little bubble of somewhat silence as this strange spirit owl moves through. You can just sense the animals reacting to this nocturnal creature, this nocturnal predator out during the day. But as it sweeps up over the sort of knotted, almost stormy, like stormy waves of green that represent the jungle, it gets lost in the mist blurring with the sea. You think the shape of Evisar occasionally through your owl's eyes. All that it sees is flocks of birds and action and activity within the canopy. Nothing large, at least at the moment. nothing dangerous. You can see a bit of the Pillar Hill from where it's at, just with its yeah, just from being up high enough. And you can make out there's some sort of construction area has been cleared. There's stacks of logs in a couple of places. Looks like mounds of dirt and sandbags are beginning to be stacked up. Also, you think the beginnings of some like guard tower or platform is being built on the eastern side of the hill, closer to Evisar. I'm sorry, yeah, the northern side of the hill.
All right, I'll report to the party that the skies are clear for the moment. And I'll let them know that palisades are being built on the hill.
Okay. Is there anything that you bring up to discuss with your company?
I mean, so assuming that we've already talked about the dream and what's going on, I think the way forward is clear, and I'm going up that hill, and if it has to be me on the pillar, then it's whatever. I mean, the Kenneth's thing is once he has direction, once he knows what's going on, he's just beeline straight for it. Let's go.
Awesome. Just cutting distractions aside and distracting thoughts and just focusing on the mission. All right, how about Crenshaw? What's Crenshaw doing, thinking? What do you bring up for discussion? What plans do you consider and share? Or what else do you do while you have a moment to digest and prepare yourself before you make your next step?
I think Crenshaw might speak with Thrumnir,
Mm-hmm.
and ask him a little. I think Crenshaw would have probably. It was the commander's name was Bradley, right? Or
Braum.
Brom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I got Bradley from. But so he would ask him like, Brom's gonna be up there. Uh, what it'd be a lot easier if we could convince him to stand down and let us get to the pillar.
Hi.
Is there anything you can tell me about the man? And I've only worked under him. I don't know. You might know him better. You've been here a while.
Worked a little closer. I scout and all. You know, I. Mm, he's he believes in the effort. It seemed pretty strong. But when it came to protocol, he did seem flexible. I seem to have a good head on his shoulders for a human. Seem to have a decent heart. Say, odds are slightly in our favor.
Okay. And then other than just you know, resting and maybe observing the Lear, seeing what they're doing. But he would also kind of want to go up to Kenneth and Saida and I mean Zem too. I mean the whole group and just kind of just let them know like this strange power that seems to be coming from you guys. It's something we've never seen. I've seen so many of soldiers under my command and brothers fall beside me. Uh, this is a big commitment. This is literally our lives for a greater purpose. And but if that means we could, the cost of the 4 or 5 of us could save hundreds, thousands, then are you guys prepared for that? You guys prepared to make that sacrifice?
Yeah, 5 of us will go. Because in my vision, Saida lives.
Wonder if Aress will be there.
I thought he was with us. Not him and
Yeah.
No,
Thrumnir
he
were
went
both
back
here.
in. I thought he went back in the diving bell because he was hurt.
Oh, we got him back though. Remember? We asked Thrumnir to go back and get him.
Oh, okay.
So there should be 6 of us in total right now.
At the at the mention of Saida living in the vision, she gets very stern and cross, very visibly.
Uh, something yet you want to say? Now's the time.
I can't see it where I do live, actually. It seems like if we need someone with healing, and I've been such a shock and I've been hunted since this all started, seems. It's not that I want to die, it's just that I just can't see anything else.
Well, I know. I'll be with you. Be with the company till the end. We'll take this thing all the way to the pillar, and I mean, heck, it's just a dream, right? So there's always still a chance.
Aye, that's the spirit, says Thrumnir. It is just a dream. Kind of looks up toward the direction through the jungle where the hill's at with a wary eye.
That's about it. I think that encompasses Crenshaw's time.
All right, perfect. Let's see here. All right, the next in the order, Saida. What are your thoughts or actions, or considerations? What do you, as you will take this short time?
How short?
I don't know, about 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe.
Okay.
Just enough time for, however long you think your characters would take to digest what's been said.
I think other than being solemn and crossed, she is fairly convinced that there's, regardless dreams or none, there's not really any other way out of this for her, just because of the endless pursuit of her. It almost seems like to put an end to that would be the solution. But she's very forward individual and kind of simple-minded in that way. So I think it seems natural that she would just be silent other than what she said, and sort of cross, maybe looking off in the distance, like she's ready to go already. Get it over with.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very interesting. How about Zim? Any particular thoughts, actions, plans you bring up?
I think Zin will approach the group. Just do we want to check on Ron's loyalty? See where he stands in all this. He's going to be at the pillar. It just seems logical to see if he's with us.
It'd be good to know, says Thrumnir. But then, Thrumnir kind of looks around to see what, if there's any other reactions, if anybody else says anything. How do we do that then? I suppose we could, a couple of us scout types might sneak up close enough.
Oh, I can send a small rodent or a squirrel or something.
Oh, that'd be way easier then. um, any objections to that then, Soranasa? Drumnir looks to Kenneth.
Nope.
Very well. As a token of whether he's with us or not with us, what should I have him send us? I'll start rummaging through my pack for any little thing I have. You see, the creature I talk to can talk to him, but it's not like um, one of those stones that some people have. They can't re-communicate to the creature and understand them. It only understands me, and then it speaks in my voice to the person at large.
Thrumnir
You
and
could have him
go ahead.
send his effort insignia.
Okay. Perfect.
I've got one that makes me an honorary quartermaster, so we could send that.
I feel like sending his insignia. See, I'll spend 11 minutes to get a tiny beast that I can see, offer it food, and give it a vocal message to deliver to Braun, describing him as best as I can. And attaching a tiny scroll to the creature. And pretty much insisting that if he's with us, he takes the scroll, and if he's not, he just sends the creature away. Never has to worry about it again.
Thrumnir, kind of peers down, watches you as you scrawl this small letter. Says, "Hope you're damned convincing."
Who wouldn't be convinced by a squirrel?
More reasonable than some, I guess.
And it has 24 hours to make it to its query of delivery,
Okay.
or it just returns to me. Back to this area. Not really me, just back to this zone.
Okay. So you manage to coax one of those small, basically, they are feathered lizards. They kind of move and chitter like squirrels a bit. You manage to coax one down out of the lower branches with bits of berry and small insects. And finally, yeah, speak your message to it and write while you're writing on the scroll. At this point, Ares and Thrumnir are just sort of watching with interest. Ares keeps kind of sees his shoulders bounce as he just kind of laughs to himself. But Ares remains pretty quiet throughout the whole thing. So finally, this lizard scampers back up the tree, down one branch, hops to another, and disappears into the jungle. At this point, Ares says, "And if he's not with us, did we just let him know we're coming?" But then Ares grins as he said so, as if the idea makes him very happy.
I mean, it's not like we're saying we're heading to him today or tomorrow. It's just vaguely, are you with us or against us?
Huh? That's true. So to clarify, the GM would like to ask Joe, or what Zim, what he communicates. Like, what is the information? Like, what does he say?
Yeah,
Too
so
broad.
it is relatively simple,
Okay.
and relatively vague in case Rom is surrounded by a lot of people.
Okay.
Just is, hey, Zim here. Heard there's some dispute going on, and are you with us or against us? If you're with us, take the scroll and send back the creature. Against us, just send back the creature. I suppose if it doesn't return to me, I'll have a pretty clear message. End message.
Awesome. So, as you all talk, time stretches. It, you all, I guess you're supposed to continue sort of preparing yourself, thinking about what lies ahead, thinking about what you might be leaving behind, and perhaps thinking about who those other hands are that might sort of grab the torch and carry it forward. Who, who those recipients of whatever you all do, that if you can complete this ritual and spread that healing touch to those who are capable of wielding it, who are those people? What would they do? How will that change things? Um, at the very least, um, if there are going to be two factions of the effort, um, it's possible that that people who are capable of healing will be in potentially all walks of life, or outlooks, and so the puzzle of fate and of time, perhaps pieces of it drift through your minds over the next few minutes as you yeah, think of what you might be changing by your actions and what will happen if you don't take these actions. Certainly the Lear are going to be unfriendly with you again, but that's probably not what bothers most of you. So, Zim, make a persuasion check, and you can use anyone with persuasion can give you advantage on that roll. Any buffs that your party can apply to that, you can feel free to have used that during that 15 to 20 minutes where you all were just sitting and thinking and you're writing this letter. And let's.
I'll give him bardic inspiration. Oh
Awesome.
wait, wrong character. Sorry.
Yeah, you tease me with that. Can I get a guidance?
Sure, I shall give you one. You have been guided.
Yay.
And there was much rejoicing.
Persuasion, you said.
I did.
At advantage. Guidance. This can only go so well with a plus. Hey, this can only go so well with a plus one. 20 plus 3.
Nice.
23.
Very nice.
Wow. It's impressive.
Okay. So as Thrumnir is kind of resituating some of his gear, as you all aren't just sort of moving at a travel pace. What you're facing is now military action. So he's sort of retightening his armor. He's resituating the extra sort of braces of crossbow bolts that he'll throw on his repeating crossbow. And RS does something pretty similar, although RS seems not quite
Love you.
impatient about it. Love you too, buddy. Not impatient, but
Mute on that one.
no worries at all. But yeah, RS seems not I guess somewhere between impatient and distracted, as if it's just the thing that needs to be done. While Thrumnir, you can tell there's a deep ritual to it for Thrumnir. As he checking over his gear, those of you with a deeper sense of people, you kind of sense him sorting through himself and his own thoughts as he rearranges, cleans off some of his gear, and overall just prepares himself. As time passes, it seems that your messenger is not going to return. As you turn to say to the rest of the party that it seems like Brahm is not with you, you hear that sort of barking coming down one of the tree limbs, and it's the same squirrel-like feathered lizard. There is still a scroll attached to its neck. You can tell that it's been unrolled, and you can see writing on the other side in that sort of waterproof grease pin.
Gregory has returned.
Hail, Gregory, says Thrumnir.
I'll unroll and read the scroll.
Too bad it wasn't a bird. It could have been Gregory Peck.
Wow.
So as you unroll it, it says, if there can be peace without servitude, then I am with you. But not all of the company is with you.
Hand it to Kenneth. What do you think that means?
Kenneth, yeah, you think, oh, go ahead. You can feel free to speak first. Definitely get a sense of some military protocol stuff.
What do I think it means? I mean, it just like peace without servitude means not taking any prisoners, or
You think
that
that
means something different?
Yeah, you think it's an older. It is a phrase from basically human conflicts between human great houses out on the sea, where it's basically like, yeah, we'll meet and treat with you. We will try to find peace, but we're concessions not compromise, I think, or something like that. Like, if so specifically, Brahm is saying, if you're gonna, if this is if we're gonna be in servitude to the Lear or to some other master aside from the effort, then no. If there can be peace without that, then Brahm is behind you, saying that the rest of the company isn't, indicates that there's people in the company that would follow an order if he gave it, to perhaps move against the effort, and there's also people that would cause conflict for him, likely bloody conflict on the hill.
Okay, do we have to go to the pillar with the Lear, or can we just go to the pillar without the Lear? Or the Lear have to do the ritual?
I don't think they'll. There's 7 of us, 6 of us. I don't think we're gonna be able to stop them.
We could always ask him to hang back.
Could I
I think
ask?
we should ensure that we can make it. Maybe they can defend us on our path there.
I think we'll have plenty of assumptions on the other side if we appear with a army of Lear.
I don't care what they assume at this point.
Send back the message, we must share the pillar. No servitude is required. What do you guys think of that?
Sounds pretty clear to me.
I sit down and concentrate for another 11 minutes, feeding my lizard friend Gregory, and tell him to go to the same person, describing them again in full detail, and tell him to send out that message, just as Kenneth said. We must share the pillar. Servitude is not required. And off they go.
So it's eerie for all of you watching this. Him sort of, maybe Zim sort of reaches up and makes some clicking and snapping and barking sounds, and to see him coax this creature down, like either right into his hand or right in front of him on a tree branch nearby, and just talk to it. And the creature's leaned in, for all the world, intently listening. There's something folkish about it, like one of your people, in the intelligence that suddenly seems there. And then as soon as Zim finishes speaking, it seems to turn back into an animal and almost, automatically dart back off. So as he takes him some time to cast this ritual and speak to the creature, um, about 10-15 minutes, another stretch in 10 stretches into 15, stretches into about another 20 minutes, where you have time for anything else that you might like to do. So we'll quickly go through initiative and see if there's anything else that you all do during this time. So how about you, Kenneth?
I'm just packed up and dying to move on. Ready to go. Let's go.
All right. How about you, Crenshaw?
Crenshaw is going to take the last dregs of his flask. And that's it.
Both Thrumnir and Ares look over mournfully as you drink the last of your flask. You know that they emptied their flasks quite a bit earlier.
Should have saved it for now, boys.
Wasn't much in there to begin with. Didn't have time to top her off back in the fort.
Wow. Don't let Arrest fool you. He always carries two.
He looks over at you with an accusatory look. That's the most animation you've seen on him in hours. He sort of looks at you like, the hell, man?
I know you've got Bosch's flask in your pocket. It's kind of nice.
It's Thrumnir's turn to look up at RS with an accusatory glance, sort of like. RS sighs. Says, well, I suppose it's not a bad time. I think there's enough for a toast now, and maybe enough for a toast later. Well, to Bosch. He went before us, and we'll probably all see him soon. He takes a sip. Thrumnir's brows beetle down and says, Lost gods, man. Learn how to toast to your own death. Give me that. We've lived long. We've lived well. We've lived through hard times and through good. And through facing the end of our living, we may make that world a fertile ground for joys, pleasures, for new buildings, new families, and a new order to things. May our actions bring less suffering to the world. Thrumnir toasts and passes it on. Yeah, passes it over to Crenshaw.
We served in life, but here's to not serving in death.
Both the other, Ares and Thrumnir, both laugh. Different notes to their voice as they do. Thrumnir's some sort of a release to it, and RS still does a tightness to his, as if he's just impatient to get on with it.
I'll hand the flask back to Arrest after I take a little sip. I want to make sure there's still some in there.
He takes it, passes it over to Saida. Make sure.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She grabs it firmly, probably takes what's left thoughtlessly, and tightens her armor as though she's never put it on quite right before until now. So that's what she's been up to in these last few moments. And almost like shining, almost hyper focusing on her armor. Yeah, she's serious business. Passes the flask back on, or just holds it out to whoever's supposed to take it next, not knowing if there's any left or not.
Yeah. DL, if you happen to reach for it, there's still some sloshing around. Bosch had a pretty large flask.
Oh, if it's not mine, I'm not going to drink it.
Oh, fair enough. Well, then at some point it probably comes back around to J Fink. Or, I'm sorry, to Zim. Before returning.
Yeah, Zim is kind of focused in meditation. Getting back a bit of a spell It doesn't notice anything going on around.
All right. So you all pass the flask and just continue to talk in low voices about what your plans are, what you're going to do if Boshed, uh, with the information that's brought back. Because you're not sure. Even he's responded positively, but even to that, you're not sure exactly what he's going to say. You can hear the leer outside. After a time, they go quiet, and if you kind of look out, you can see them clustered together in twos or threes, sitting sort of really close with like their heads bowed together. You can see like their hands moving, like they're doing something between them. Each of these clusters. But yeah, you're not sure what it is. They're really quiet. They're only speaking to each other, really, just in twos and threes. This lasts for some time, and soon you can hear that the barking of that strange feathered creature bounding down the limbs and onto the ground nearby. And the little creature sort of comes up. It looks up. It opens its mouth as if to bark, and I believe his Brahm's voice comes out. No, he was supposed to respond. So looks like the grease pen has been smudged off, and writing has been put over it. Let's see here. It says answer accepted, with that at peace without bondage or servitude. It says sure about a handful, the rest unknown. Out of that handful, it seems pretty even. Who's going to be a problem? Not sure what your plan is. Like it to avoid inter-effort bloodshed.
It seems Brahm's on our side, more or less, and would like to avoid bloodshed. I think that's a good stance. How do we approach this?
You go up the hill. Let's quit wasting time. When he sees us, we have to trust that he will react to help us in some way and make our way to the top.
Drumnir grunts. Ares breathes a sigh of relief. All right. So as you all consider this message, make your last preparations. Does anybody sort of countermand or say anything opposing to Kennett's plan to just move straight up the hill? You could speak out of turn. Whoever has thoughts or different ideas, just throw them out there.
It is all about moving in a straight line ahead.
All right. Everybody unanimous on that?
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, then. Thrumnir kind of stands up, grabs his crossbow barrel eye, and makes toward the edge of the hut, and looks over toward Kennett, waiting for Kennett to give him the nod for him to slip off and scout ahead a little bit.
All right, let's go.
All right, so with the top of the order, as you all begin to slip out, exploration turns. What does Kenneth do as you all slip out into the soft rain?
I'll move ahead. Stealth up. Sneaky, sneaky.
All right. So go ahead and make that stealth check, a perception check, and you can still make some actions as we are in exploration. So it's not the tight order of combat initiative.
Stealth 19.
Very nice. All right. Unless you really look and listen, Kenneth just vanishes from y'all's sight. And you can go ahead and make a perception check for your. I assume you send your owl out to look about.
Yep.
Okay.
Owl and me are scouting. Got a perception of 9 though, so that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad, but your owl also gets to make a perception check. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, owl has a advantage on perception checks for sight, I think. Okay.
Yeah, my passive perception is better in both cases. So
Okay.
I'm better off just using my passive.
That's fine.
17 for me,
Awesome.
13 for the owl.
Well, anytime you're actively looking, yeah, you're passive. Usually, I'll default to your passive after the check. It's just when you're not, yeah. It seems silly when you're prepared to have your, but I guess the dice tell the story. Might just be distractions and things like that for now. Okay. So you're able to get your owl near the pillar hill, and you can start to see some of the changes on it. I'll bring us over to the map. I need to go ahead and bounce over to OBS and adjust what we're seeing. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Different.
So as your owl sort of flies nearby, flying south ahead of you, banking up high enough to where it's not maybe attracting too much attention. You're certain that they have, lookouts. You can see, of course, I went ahead and displayed the map a little bit, and you can see that over on the right side of the map, above that little cliff face, there's a platform that represents a raised platform, the beginnings of a watchtower or guard tower that's being built. You can see that there's a whole area toward the top, just above the pillar, that has been excavated. Looks like a large slab of stone is being cleared from the mud, and the rain sort of still washing streaks of grime off of it. There's a couple of soldiers using their shovels and still kind of digging out around the edges of it. Again, you can see that not enough trees to sort of screen all of the view. Like, it looks like there's lots for the efforts and scouts to still hide within, but it looks like they've carefully suggested or selected trees and sort of felled them, cut them down, and begin to stack them up for either another guard tower or palisades. You're not quite sure, but in either case, the hills changed somewhat. You can make out figures moving on top of the hill, and in general, you can kind of tell what's going on. It looks like there's a magi inside the pillar with another soldier. It looks like you can see the black cloak and sort of brass armor that Braun wears. And it also looks like some trench works are being dug. The beginnings of, some pretty serious defenses, and it hasn't been that long So this is really, really quick work. But yeah, you can see, like I said, toward the center, you can see the Magi with one of the soldiers as an assistant, helping them. It's hard to tell. Others sort of like binding up this set of logs and making sure they don't roll out. Some others stacking up sandbags, and many others just sort of set on watch. And you can see that the main path up the hill is guarded by some tireless dead. And from the side you're at, you can actually see the scouts in the trees, as they're not trying to hide from the angle you're viewing from, coming from the top right of the map. All right, so that, Kenneth, is what you learn from your owl as you're getting these images intermittently as it flies about. Now you could get closer and try to see more detail if you wanted to. There's a risk that your owl will be spotted if you do.
Don't need to get closer with the owl. I'll get closer with myself.
All right. You all continue. As you make your way out of the tent, the Lear begin to gather themselves up out of the small clusters and arrange themselves in well, not sort of surrounding you anymore. There's definitely a group of them ahead and a cluster behind, and you know that you can see a few of their scouts move out into the jungle around you. Kenneth, as you are slipping forward, occasionally you can see Thrumnir. You know, any break in the trees that you all can see each other, you'll signal to each other. Just sort of constantly communicating each time you see each other. But you also see a couple of these Lear, and again, you can't tell their gender really, or really much about their status. They're just all kitted in this what seems to be armor that's woven of thick grass and plates of leather, occasionally supplemented with like pieces of lacquered wood, like lacquered and painted wood. Many of them have crystal weapons that blaze faintly, as if there's young, sort of weak magic within these blades. Others, the light sort of cascades and ripples along the canopy above you, the trees around you, even catching the streaking rain and reflecting it back in yellows, greens, and oranges. Crenshaw, as your commander, and Thrumnir slip out. You're sort of enmeshed with these Lear who just recently you were fighting. There's a heavy musk to them. It's not unpleasant. That's just they have a certain scent, but it does seem to blend somehow with the jungle. But you're moving along, Saida next to you. Perhaps you're all clustered around Zim, but yeah. Is there anything that you're doing, paying attention to, preparing? Anything you're watching out for?
I'm probably keeping my eye on the Lear. I'm trusting that Kenneth's gonna look ahead at the soldiers and everything, and I want to be watching the Lear. I'm still not. I know that they. I don't know. I'm worried they're gonna try and use us as a ploy to get close. So I want to watch for them and see if they're doing anything suspicious.
Okay. Awesome. So you can go ahead and make an insight check.
Okay.
Now I think that's going to be at disadvantage, however, because they're really hard to read. They're very different than any of the other folk. Their whole facial musculature is different. You can, of course, if you want, use your GM inspiration to roll that as a straight roll. If you do, of course, I'll gain an inspiration.
No, I'll stick with the 11.
Okay.
Actually, I think that tracks because he doesn't know anything about the Lear,
Yeah.
so I think that makes a lot of sense.
So as you
So that'll
okay, yeah, as you
Go
watch
ahead.
them falling in ahead of you and behind you. Very rarely does any of the Lear ahead of you look back. It indicates trust, oddly enough. They don't seem, or they're just not concerned with you. But based on the importance of you in the vision, you don't think it's that. You think that they just, once the bond of word was made, the agreement was made, that they just take you at your word. And it kind of squares with that. They don't seem to be deceptive. That you haven't seen any guerrilla tactics out of them. In fact, the effort uses guerrilla tactics much more, ambush tactics. But the Lear always seem to bay from a quarter mile away before they come into battle. You always know the Lear are coming, unless you surprise them, which is pretty rare. Only scouts have ever really surprised any of the Lear. So as you watch them, they seem very focused on what they're doing. Only the ones behind you ever really look in your direction, but it's only because you're in front of them, and you're sure it's curiosity is too much. The temptation is too much. You're right in front of them. So, but even with that, mostly they're looking at the jungle, and what seems to be a low and sort of soft humming that comes, or like a kind of like that, and they all do it intermittently. It's really soft, and there's something in it of like a, not a battle chant, because those are really like out, and you speak out, and you're sort of blasting the air out of your lungs to deal with your adrenaline. This seems different. This seems like a marshaling or farming of intensity, or like building up the adrenaline on purpose, sort of, because it does slowly intensify as you all get closer to the hill, but it doesn't get very loud. You think maybe nobody else in the company really noticed? It's because it's not very loud, and you're paying more attention to them. But you get the sense that they're not hiding anything. There's no surreptitious or suspicious glances. There's none of that. And if you hadn't just spoken to them, you'd think they were ignoring you, but you think they're just treating you like they would anybody who they trusted to keep up their word, kind of. I imagine Crenshaw might find something he respects in that.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you say or try to communicate with any of them or anything like that as you all move along?
Not yet.
Okay. How about Saida? What is Saida doing as you all move through the jungle toward this fateful pillar that you've discovered that started all these events off?
I think that she, despite that some of us have went into stealth, it's not really one of her fortes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that she presses forward diligently, trying to keep her eyes peeled for any danger. But it's a hard press forward, moving perhaps even a bit too swiftly for others. So I definitely would at least like to have a perception roll to see if I notice anything or anything as I move forward.
Yeah, please make that perception check. As you find, as you set your pace harder, it's almost unspoken. Nobody even seems to notice that the rest of your companions are sort of matching your pace. Even Thrumnir, with his shorter legs, is not complaining. Well, actually, you can't see him. So, and for the Lear, they seem absolutely happy with any pace you all set. Something you've noticed before as you all move through the jungle, a small little, like, just a pocket of silence would sort of follow you as the insects and small creatures around you would be silent. Anything large enough you think for you to eat would sort of drop silent. But the Lear have this larger sort of bubble of quiet around them from the smaller insects and things. And even a little bit further off, we're about 30 feet around them. Everything nearby seems to be pretty still. All you really hear is the rain. And it's, you don't really notice until you start hearing some, like, birds or lizards call from outside that range, that you realize, yeah, it's about 30 feet around them. Everything is pretty quiet. And you're not sure what that is. So it's just the jungle respects them, or something about them that wards off other things. But they certainly aren't saying anything. You can start to see the framework of a four-postered platform with a rough ladder that's built up the side. You can see a couple of effort folks in cloaks with them sort of thrown back in the light rain, binding logs together with some sort of thick cable and driving spikes through it to stabilize this, what is apparently a watchtower. You can see it doesn't look like there's anybody on top of it, so you're assuming in the nearby trees that there's some guards. And in fact, you're pretty certain, there's going to be 4 points on the outside of wherever the commander and the magi are, that there's going to be lookouts and high points. Maybe not scouts like Thrumnir and Kinnit, but soldiers just looking out. And since you don't see any from the angle you're coming at, you're assuming the one's hidden. Likely in this, if you're looking at the map, this cluster of trees to the sort of top right of the pillar area. So you're expecting somewhere in here there's another lookout. And this makes you kind of think you're not going to approach without being seen, you don't think. Oh, goodness. So yeah, as Sida's pace kind of slowly increases, it seems like. Not until a running point, but just that walk getting harder and harder, more purpose, as you all get closer to the uncertain interaction that you're going to have. You expect that Brahm is friendly. You don't know how those unfriendly to your ideas are going to react once you all arrive. Certainly how they might react once they see the Lear themselves. As you now are, if you were a concern for the effort before, you are certainly a much larger concern in your current state. Should they be made aware of you, should word return back to the Soralin, the High Command, or even the Mage Guard, you expect that there will be intense and sudden focus on this hill, as any concern they had is sort of galvanized. If they were, and whatever prize you represented to them might now be seen to be in enemy hands, which is a dangerous place, as you know that the official perspective of the effort is that anything that attacks the effort on land is a demon. That the holy firmament was flooded with demons long ago when they were purged from the world, part of the great sin, the great failing. But you know all that's just a story that keeps everyone together, that keeps the effort bound and unified in its purpose, keeps it focused. And that's a focus that your actions will and are already disrupting. And if you're successful on top of this hill, you're certain that that aspect of the effort will be disrupted even further. Might be a little early, but let's go ahead and take a pause here and take a short break, and then come back to it as you all begin to ascend the hill, moving into the zone where their Overwatch will be able to see you. Does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's take a
Yep.
pause. I'm going to check some of our messages here. I got super focused and haven't really checked in with the chat, so I'm going to do that real quick. But you all go ahead and take a short break or anything that you all need, and I'll see you soon. All right. So let's see here. Small Wonders said DM's sound hasn't changed. Let's see here. The audio is completely different. Okay. Big Bry's pretty loud. Okay. That's interesting. Hmm. Hmm. That's very interesting. All right, everybody, we are back. Let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead and try a thing. We're going to switch over to the map really quick and see what that audio change might be. So bear with me for a moment. Okay. All right, give me just another moment.
I just have ground control to Major Tom stuck in my head
You're welcome.
now.
Hey guys, I finally figured out where we're at. Based on the fact that it's misty and never stops raining, I think we're in Seattle.
Oh, that makes sense. The
And
pillar,
then
I get
survive
it.
the rains.
This pillar is just the top of the that spire.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
Space Needle.
Where's my coffee?
All
I
right.
don't know where the fish market is.
It's all with the mermaids. Can I say that? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. All right. So I think I've got that sound thing. It should be dialed in. Drink from my massive tub of water. Hydrate, everyone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, can still hear me. Not be at full volume, and you don't have to necessarily turn down when Pon Pon or Big Bry speak. Okay, good. All right, good. Excellent. Look at all this progress.
Yeah,
Wow.
but what if I scream like this? No, I'm just kidding.
The GM quickly tries to tab over to Discord and mute Big Bry as fast as he can. Just to try to save Small Wonder's sensitive little ears.
Listen, I'm not waking up my girlfriend. You could do that.
No, thank you.
Bad life choice.
Yeah, no way. Oh, your poor pup is asleep, Small Wonders. Well, we'll try not to wake them up. So, all right, let's step back into it. I think we are. What the heck happened with that? Okay, excellent. So, stepping back into it, as you all move toward the hill, you can definitely see. You can see, the sort of skyline of the hill has changed. Trees that have dropped. This whole side over here on the right side, definitely part of that forest has been cleared away. You think maybe a large portion of the logs actually came from there, densely packed area that you, Kinnett and Thrumnir remember pretty well from just scouting around and navigating the place when you all first discovered it. Given that once you begin to come up the hill, you'll be spotted by the scouts. Curious if you all take any precautions or if you all just barrel right ahead.
I think you know what Sida's answer
I
is.
think I do. So Side, striding forward until someone says that we all are taking a different tactic. So let's check in with Kinnett. What are your thoughts?
I'm staying ahead of Sida, but barely. I'm sneaking. I'm trying to stay hidden. But yeah, I don't think there's any big plans to be made. We're gonna have to get to this pillar and do what must be done. And if they're gonna fight, then we're gonna have to fight them. And I just feel like making complicated plans at this point. Most complicated thing I would do is like pass out some good berries.
Okay. Yeah, just make a note of that to whoever you pass them out to, and make sure they have a note of what they got.
Quick technical question. Since we hooked up with the lair and got the vision and all that, have we had a rest? Or are we still on that same day?
You're on that same day. You've had a short rest. So if you all can benefit from that, go ahead and put that, mark that on your sheet that you've had that short rest.
We definitely.
I'm a fighter, so yes, I benefit.
Awesome.
I do that meditation, the trance, the elven trance.
Well, not quite enough time for that. You all just took a short rest. That's usually in place of humans sleeping, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can still absolutely fall into that meditation.
It says I need 4 hours.
Right. You didn't quite have that long. You just spent about an hour with the Lear.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and-
is the, okay.
So yeah, just a short rest. All right. Well, I'll slip back through then. Just the initiative really briefly and see if there's anything else, any extra preparations. Crenshaw, as you all are approaching, any thoughts that you share with the company?
Negative.
All right. Saida, how about you?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Zim?
Zim will cast mirror image on himself. That's about it.
Awesome. Okay. Ares is basically keeping stride with you, Saida. He seems just as interested to get there as quickly as possible, though his energy does seem a bit different about it. And folding in everything you've experienced with him kind of makes sense for where the fellow's at. But regardless of that willingness sort of to meet his end, he doesn't seem at all suicidal. You think that he'll be absolutely solid and stable and won't do anything stupid, because that's what he's always done. You don't see that self-control cracking at all. So as you all begin to approach, now you pass back through the area, the misty area, move pretty quickly through the jungle as your scouts move ahead, but the Lear also know sort of the best paths through the area. So they bring you up the back, what you call the back of the hill, which is the western side. On the map, it would be the top side. So top of the map is west, as you all are coming in from the top right of the map, coming in from the northwest. As you come up that path up the backside, you can see that some of those trees have been cleared as well, and you hear sharp whistles from the lookouts up on the hill. You will realize that the Lear have sort of split, and that band of Lear in front of you have just dissolved into the jungle. Kenneth, you see them kind of clustered together, coming up to the hill, finding a spot maybe out of sight. None of the Lear have been spotted so far by those on the pillar. It seems that Brightleaf is wisely sort of letting you all lead the approach, but is certainly positioning the Lear warriors to move into action very, very quickly. They indicate to you, some of the other warriors, they'll point out areas and they'll make a sort of gesture, and that means like that's a safer or quicker path. And you can see rock outcroppings, fallen tree limbs and such like that those paths skirt you around and through. And so make a note of that. When you catch sight of Thrumnir, you can share that with him, and you can have him stay totally out of sight if you want as well. So as you all make that final approach, their lookouts call out. Kenneth, through the eyes of your owl, hovering, probably back near the other hill, looking out, you can see the soldiers working, drop their tools and move toward their weapons, sort of leaned and crossed up against each other, or they've, what like small posts that they've notched to be able to lean their weapons into and hang their shields on. They rush up and grab them, those are not already scouting. As a scout whistles again, your owl can see some of them move toward the western side of the hill, the way you all are approaching now. You recognize the calls, though, as an alert, but it's an alert of friendlies arriving without warning, sort of. And yeah, that's a break in protocol. You all aren't supposed to, companies aren't supposed to approach each other on the firm unless there's orders to do so. But you don't think any of the problems that arise around that, all of the other, the fact that anytime there's like combat or especially blood spill, that attracts a lot of other creatures on the firma. Some large, some small, all dangerous to the folk. But you don't think that's not a problem. You don't think on the hill. It's just it's a unique location from everything that you found. So you've been spotted. You've been marked as a friendly who's broken protocol, and a question is called. You can hear a faint whistle, a series of whistles coming from maybe around the pillar, echoing down the hill, and you recognize those as stand, observe, and stand ready. So with that, you can begin your approach up the hill. Now, assuming you all, Kenneth, you had said previously that you were in stealth. Do you come out of stealth, or do you have your company move up and begin to speak to the company while you and, say, Thrumnir remain in hiding with the Lear? What do you do?
Well, if the Lear have faded away and they're not, like, actively just stalking with us, I thought we were kind of like their prisoners, so they weren't going to leave us. But if they've kind of faded into the background, then we'll just walk into the camp like we own the place.
All right. As you begin coming up the hill, some familiar voices call down, just people that you've seen in training. Names don't really come to you. You're too focused. But they're familiar. Some faces surprised, excited to see you. Others hard-faced, frowning, whether it's because of their work or because they have heard of you and have certain feelings about you. As you approach, coming up the side of the hill through like the now sort of cleared area around this square, you have to weave past some thick foliage and this stack of sandbags, and as you do, you can see glances from some of the soldiers look to each other. You can see them look to the trees, likely spotting other overwatches and such like that. So you can all make perception checks as you slip up the hill, because you've all been paying attention pretty well. And this being a tense moment, I imagine your senses are probably pretty sharpened. So again, you're not going to be able to roll lower than your passive perception in this case. DL nailed his passive perception.
Yep.
That was a 19 for Crenshaw. I had it on disadvantage still.
Okay, 19 and 18 perception for Zim, and 11 for Evelyn. That's the same one that you and Kenneth rolled last round, the last time you rolled perception. But perfect. Saida, it seems to fit on. I think it's on brand for Saida, as she knows what she has to do, and everything else is just a matter of getting there. So some of the soldiers meet you and make to sort of step in front of you. This is protocol. They're checking you in. The soldiers are looking over you for wounds and such like that. And another hard-faced dwarven woman says, "You come in sudden. What's your business?"
We bear ill tidings. Things are not what they seem. We've upset the balance of the land, and what's a good name for Saida? What should we call her? The Empowered One? The Empowered One has seen that we've upset the balance of the land, and she's come to fix it. She's been sent to fix it.
You got orders for that, do you? See an uncertain glance from one of the other soldiers look at the dwarf woman. Her hand tensing on their spear. Sort of knuckles go white for a split second.
Yeah.
The orders. I'm the whole reason you're here to begin with.
I got that signet from Asherdan, right? That makes me somebody important.
Yep.
Or at least I can fake that I'm somebody important.
Yeah.
So I'll show that, and I'll say, yeah, the orders came down, and I'm carrying them out.
All right, make a deception check. I'm just going to go ahead and bring you all out onto the map here. You can rearrange yourself as you like. Thrumnir is off a little bit behind, hiding.
$17 deception.
All right, give me just a moment. Do a couple of things in the background. All right, let's see here. Let's see if this this Soren Moore, this hunter soldier, is has any real insight into people and personalities. This one, wow, okay, a nat 20 for this. And she says, suppose we'll be talking to Captain Brom about Sorenasa Brom about that, and Magi Nigel.
Yes, I would like to speak to the Magi. That would be good. We're not supposed to be creating this tireless debt anymore because the Manai can control them, and I see many of them about the camp. That is not the current protocol.
It seemed to waste. I seem to waste, said Brom. Nigel's our Magi's got solid control of them. Coming up through the large blue flowers, you see Brom with a sort of leather mask and some sort of stitched leather hose coming down to a small tank hanging from his chest. He plucks it off as he gets clear of the sleep-inducing flowers. I'm going to go ahead and move these soldiers forward. He steps up, and a few minutes later, you recognize a fastidiously well-dressed Magi, very clean, has their hood thrown up, a well-groomed beard, sort of smooth aquiline features. Well, I'm not exactly comfortable with that, but I don't think anyone will be able to grab control of them, not while I'm alive.
That's what they said in the city, too. Everybody was confident. And then the enemy had twice as many because what we thought were allies were instead foes. So, particularly bad choice on your part, I think.
Well, that's good insight, says Brom. It's good insight.
Yes, but we're not really here to argue about uses of the dead. Are we, Sorenasa?
Brom makes the mistake of thinking you're speaking to him and says, no, I suppose we're not. But I think we are dealing with matters of protocol, aren't we? How things might go. After all, you all are fugitives. And regardless of how many in the company might be sympathetic to you, that remains a fact. Now, you can feel some of the soldiers tense as he brings this up. Focus sharpens among them. And he says, now, how are we going to avoid killing each other right here on this hill? Apparently a damned important hill. He looks back. He looks back to Nigel. Nigel's kind of continues to look at him, nods. Brom then nods to himself, and then looks at the other soldiers, his soldiers.
The chosen one has information about the pillar. We must be allowed to approach and to make use of it. And some of the natives need to be able to approach and make use of it, or bad things are going to happen to us all.
Well, that's certainly is a grim statement, and that's a lot to swallow, I'm sure you can imagine. Nigel sort of leans forward and says something really soft to Brom. But it does beg a lot of questions, he says.
Can I insight check Nigel? Is he a friend or foe?
You can insight check him.
22. I know this dude's dreams.
Excellent.
He's very cautious. That's the loudest thing about this Magi. He's very cautious. He is likely as meticulous as he is in keeping himself clean. He is that meticulous in his decision making, his planning, and his consideration of things. Everything about this person screams caution. You get the feeling that he's not closed-minded. He doesn't seem to be making a judgmental glance at you. He's certainly not a zealot or a warhawk of any sort. He's definitely wearing, he is a company Magi. He's wearing all of the gear. You can just sense on him that this is his company and he will defend these men and women. And but you can also tell this he seems a little bit irritated and distracted, and you can tell that you could tell that that's from his focus on the pillar being broken. He's sort of a sigh, military protocol, this is what we're doing now. So you can sense the barest amount of I don't know if I'd call it impatience, but some of his mind is just wanting to focus on that and does not want to be focusing on this. But everything else, like I said, screams caution.
Okay, if you want to avoid the killing, all you have to do is share. We're not going to take anything. We'll give it back. We just need access to it, and so do the natives.
Oh. That's, well, I didn't expect it to go like this, says Brom. You can see all of the soldiers around there was one inside the green, has stepped out and dropped another one of those masks down. You hear a curse from one of the soldiers, a soft, fuck, as everyone starts to get tense. You can hear muttering, passing. Fiercely whispered words draw the attention of some other Soren that sort of move into the area and draw out crossbows and begin to.
I don't know if we need the locals. I don't know why we're not being honest about this. We ended up appearing in a place and were surrounded from a thing we found under the sea. And we were surrounded by the locals of this land. And one spoke to us in our language, broken, to be fair, and mentioned something about the breaking of balance and the releasing of great evil, and showed us with some sort of, yes, I admit this is unwise, but death also felt unwise at the time, fed us a sort of herb that seem to take us into visions of a need to use this pillar to stop the darkness and evil from happening.
You see the Magi, Nigel. His gaze falls intently on you.
I get your worry. I get it. I don't believe will be any trouble unless there is trouble to be made. And at the end of the day, you might have more answers than, well, 4 more. What are the tireless soldiers that mean literally nothing?
I assure you, you don't want trouble. She says intimidatingly.
Make an intimidation check for Saida.
Yeah.
The Magi Nigel's eyes are focused on. Okay, you can feel free. That's a 12. That'll succeed against some of the folks, but if you want it to be higher, you can use that GM inspiration if you want. Zim, throughout your speech, Zim, Nigel focuses on you intently. He seems to be listening to your words and considering. He whispers something to the Soranasa, who nods. You hear mutters from the other soldiers of, well, curious, as if, like, discussion in sort of wondered, hushed tones about what you'd seen, but others sharp notes of suspicion and dismissal. So some of our enemies' magic, then, taken them in. Aye, they're traitors for sure now. Not just in word, but in deed. Others, but she can heal. She mends the flesh.
Crenshaw is going to kind of step up, and he's going to. I want to see if I can do this. He's going to attempt to step up between the others, right there, kind of right, and kind of get closer to Brom. And he wants to say, "Sir, you know why we're fugitives, but you also know that the last time that we were out on this firma together, the only reason that you're still breathing is that elf right there. She saved your life. Kenneth saved more, between the two of them, saved more lives than anyone has done before. I'm just saying that they want to dissect them back at Eversar. If they can reach out, touch this pillar, they might be able to spread this gift. Why do you want to stand in the way of that? Something that has kept you breathing and standing on this land."
I appreciate your words. You've no need to call that to my memory. I'm not against what you're saying in mind, but I have many soldiers here who are, and I'd like to avoid the killing. If what you say is true, well, I think that's something that we came here for. The effort came to learn of its past, we came to right the wrongs of it, and we came to build a better world together, a world that we couldn't build separately. That's the vision that I pledge my life to, and my service in death. Some of the soldiers sort of glance hard, at Brahm. Others sort of nod, and you hear, sounds of agreement from them. The soldiers kind of continue to move up into the area. Those having worked stopped.
Seems like a valiant vision, in my opinion.
That does. The Magi then speaks. Says, that does seem to agree with. I think that aligns with the goals of the effort. But there are a lot of interpretations. This tension is continuing to sort of mount. Some of the soldiers are now beginning to look at each other, trying to see where each other falls. That glance of suspicion, that that digging, piercing look. People trying to decide what side others are on. Soranasa takes a deep. He looks around to those who seem reasonable. He looks to you. He takes a deep breath, and he says, "Agreed. Soldiers, let them pass." You see immediately one of the Soren Moor steps back, raises up his spear, and takes a step to the side. Another one does as well. The three nearest you sort of move in and sort of forward, trying to stand in between you a bit. So let me go ahead and remove all the turns. As they move forward to block you, you can see the other guards and soldiers raising crossbows, but not all of those at range are raising crossbows. You see others fingering their gnarl, shortened into daggers. They're, morphing spears at their waists, and it looks as if violence is going to break out. It feels as if any moment, if it weren't for the rain, you could probably smell it on everybody, that rising tension in everybody's scent. So let's go ahead and highlight your tokens and roll initiative. As the second Soranasa Brahm agrees to what you're saying, and the Magi, movement happens all among. And these zealots are ready. Multiple of the crossbows fire immediately. Let's see here.
We get a form of differentiation on the map.
Between the different.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. Oh. Go ahead and refresh roll 20 real quick. It's. All right. I'm going to put a little the skull and crossbones on the ones that are turning their violent attention toward you. Should be a little skull and bones in the top right. Of course, the three nearest you are all apparently hostile to you as well. And Brahm and Nigel seem to be friendly. Others outlying, I guess you'll find out as they approach and take part in whatever begins to happen. But 6 crossbow bolts spray out. 6 of the Soren aim in you all's direction and fire. Seems to be primarily toward Crenshaw and Kennett, but there's a chance that that their fire will hit Saida as well. So I'm going to make a couple of checks on my end. Okay, that is 2 to Crenshaw, 2 to Kennett, and 1 to Saida. I'm going to go ahead and make those crossbow checks. This will be toward Kennett. The next two will be toward Crenshaw. So 24 and an 8 to Kennett. 24 hits. For 8 piercing. That'll be 2 toward Crenshaw. Silver bolts streak in the air towards you with a 13 and a 17.
Both miss, or at least hit the shield.
Nice. Excellent. The first one likely hits your armor, and the next one you manage to deflect with your shield. One of them flies toward Saida as well. For a 19 to hit.
It hit.
Okay. For 13 damage. Max on the die. Now, those before you are, well, they seem, from what you can see, they're the closest, so you can see them better, but you can also tell that they wear their gear with a certain amount of experience. There's a certain steadiness in their gaze, suggests that the 3 nearest you are pretty experienced. They each attack with their gnarl. 2 attack Crenshaw, and 1 attacks Kennett. 2 to Kryn, and 1 to Kennett.
Okay. So, the 25 hits.
Okay.
And then the 11 that misses, I'd like to use my... That was 7 damage.
Yeah. For some reason it didn't pop up in... Oh, there it did. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
7
it did.
damage. Yeah.
So,
From the tip
Cool.
of one of
I'll
their
mark that.
silver gnarl.
damage, the 11 that misses.
Ooh.
I'm gonna use reaction. Misses. So a riposte makes a melee attack and misses. I get to make an attack on them as a reaction.
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. So for that one, it's a 9.
That is going to miss.
Oh well.
Yeah. The halfling manages to duck to the side. And the blade, bone sword, whistles over its head.
The hit threw me off. That's all it saved you. Slaggard.
Traitor, says the halfling. Next in the order is Crenshaw.
All right. Crenshaw is going to use his. Let me get rid of the superiority die. Yes, he's going to use his bonus action to rally Saida, gaining her 6 temporary hit points. And then he's just gonna, he's gonna attack
Alright.
the enemy. Wait, let me see. I might want to reposition. Are the sandbags sloped or difficult terrain or anything?
No, they're just stacked up, and they're only stacked up about 3 feet high.
Okay. If Crenshaw moves here, would that be considered flanking for with Brahm, or is that not determined yet?
Yeah, that would be.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna move there, gain flanking, and attack that Soranasa.
And that's the one that hit you. I believe
Okay.
right the first hit. Yeah, 25.
Good. Yeah, I'm very mad at him for hitting me.
6 temp
So-
HP. All right, let's go.
Oh, that'll be a 12.
That is a 12.
Jeez.
You can feel free to use your GM inspiration if you like.
Not yet. I'm gonna hold it.
All right.
All right, that is Crenshaw's turn.
Okay. Next in the order is Kennett.
I'll take an action to disengage. I will move to here. I will use my bonus action to cast Hunter's Mark here, and I'm done.
Okay, fantastic. Let's see here. I think I have something cool for that. I just gotta find it. On the this one here, I think. You see that?
That's fantastic. He's got a crosshair on him.
Yeah, buddy.
It did go away, though.
It did. Give me just a moment. Yeah, there's something weird going on with the Roll20. You've got to put them out there, copy them, delete one, and then paste it back on to make it actually work. That's the only workaround currently for whatever's going on with the little animation. But there you go. Perfect. All right. Next in the order. Brom bellows. Stand down, soldiers! Stand down! For the good of the effort, for the dreams of a better world, stand down! And, let's see here. Makes a persuasion check. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, even with this bonus, that 2 is not going to avail him.
Very persuasive.
Absolutely. That is a tough one. What he would do. I'm not sure he would strike out at his own men. He instead attempts to grapple the nearest soldier. Versus the other soldier. Braun manages to grab the soldier by the armor, sort of pull them back, grappling them temporarily, at least keeping them from moving, and shouts again. His voice sort of rasping, creaking toward the end, almost breaking as he shouts. Just that his ordinary control, breaking with the desperation to keep his soldiers from fighting you all. Nigel, his eyes going wide, he takes a step back and sort of forward, a little bit closer to Crenshaw. His eyes quickly scan over all of you, over those firing at you, looking at, gauging something. It's hard to say exactly what. Okay. He pulls something out of one of his pouches and begins casting a spell. What is... Okay, there we go. Roll20 is moving a little bit slow right now. I think it's all the lightning and such on the map. As Nigel points northward, up to the right of the map, and strange swirling, like pale yellow mist sort of spirals around the figures in this area, and they begin to fall. First one, then two, and three of them drop to the ground unconscious. I'm going to put an X on them just to indicate that they are out of play, as three of the zealots succumb to... oh, what the heck? I'll do it the easy way then. Just pretending that they are dead. So these, I haven't been killed, but they have dropped out of the fight. And Yeah. Nigel also looks nervously to the soldier to the south, uncertain of their intentions as this soldier next to them approaches. They slip the mask back over their face and step back in between the blue flowers, out of sight. Next in the order, Saida.
Well, is there a clear path? Because I see there's like these stacks of things here. Those sandbags.
Yeah, they're sandbags, and you can step up on them. It's not difficult terrain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to just make a mad dash for the pillar and touch it. I ain't giving people time to think about this.
Okay. So you'll be moving through three enemies, their space, and potentially getting attacks of opportunity.
Oh, I see the X's are over there. I got confused with the skull and crossbones.
Yeah, sorry about that. The X's are asleep, and the skull and crossbones are just the zealots, your enemies.
Because I honestly thought I could just like run over their heads. That'd be really cool if I could do that.
There's definitely a way. I mean, you could use your action to disengage once you got to that space.
The sound keeps breaking up on me.
Oh. So yeah, you can use your action to disengage once you were in their threatened space.
Oh wow. I'm trying. Yeah, okay. I'd like to understand that better, but that does sound great.
Okay. Yeah, disengage is just spending your action to like fight your way out of combat, to step back defensively, to feint, to juke, to fake them out, or something, so they don't get that free attack on you. It's just taking your action to make sure they don't get an attack of opportunity.
Okay, I just didn't know that. I thought disengage and an action were two separate things. That's the main thing that was throwing me off.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. I would love to, yeah, because that's kind of what I imagined was basically her trying to make a mad dash. That's what I mean by mad dash is disengaging, like that movement of evasion as running towards the pillar. And I'd love to use my inspiration to do that. 'Cause I really want to make it.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fix those hit points because you all had, you all had a rest before you all came to land. So. All right. So yeah, you can move up, move through them.
Okay. Just trying to understand what this piece is. That just like a mound of dirt in front of me?
Yeah, there's basically a large slab of stone with carving on it that they've excavated. They've dug the mud back from. It looks like some of that mud they've piled up over here and have started to collect into sandbags. Also, they've built. They look like they're digging a big trench here.
But that's not too much of a difference in elevation for me to be concerned with it.
No.
Let's go this way and then that way.
All right. So use your action to disengage as you slip by. The Soren tries to stab out at you, but you already baited that attack, and we're stepping the other direction. You know of the features of this strange blue flower, having dealt with it before. You know that it's a matter of trying not to brush against the leaves too much and holding your breath when you move through the area. It seems that the Magi and one of the Soren Moore weren't taking any chances with that. It had some sort of mask that they were wearing. But if you want to step toward the pillar, you're free to as well. Oh no, okay, with that. Oh, okay, if you're moving from
here, oops, from here to here.
Okay, yeah, you definitely can move 10 more feet to the base of the pillar, or 5 more feet. Yeah, really. As you step forward, the Magi sort of looks up warily as you approach. What you expect is what is ordinarily a pretty neutral expression the mouth is sort of hardened down to a line of focus. He seems a bit uncertain as you step up closer, but seeing that you're not leading with your weapon, he instantly sort of looks past you toward what's going on, and he says, "Welcome," with equal measure of politeness and tension in his voice.
She stares at him with an unyielding intensity. She's going to do what she's going to do.
He does not look like he's trying to stand in your way. What do you need to do?
I did take my action already, so
You can respond. You can, as long as
Okay.
it's like, say 6 to 8 words.
I'm going to activate this pillar once more.
Fascinating. I've been trying to do that myself. This should be quite fascinating. So, as you step forward, you reach over and touch the pillar. You still have your bonus action as well. You have physical contact with the pillar. It'll take a little more focus to activate it. You can spend your bonus action to begin to do that if you want.
Yes. And I basically does it cost a spell like it did last time?
Yes.
So that's what I have left. I have one.
Awesome. All right. So as Zim, Saida, as has been her wont lately, just strides forward, jukes around both of the Soren, and disappears in between those blue flowers. What does Zim do?
Okay. Well, this didn't go as planned. I'm gonna remove a potion from my bag and drink it and begin levitating, I suppose.
Okay.
As I drink the potion of levitation that we found some time ago.
Yes. It's a strange sensation as the pressure of your feet against the ground vanishes.
Oh, this is what this feels like. And then kind of looking down on these 3 Azels, I cast Entangle, and I'm unfortunately going to have to get Soranasa Pram in that Entangle, or Ares. But, Ares is our friend. Like, Pram, you're being a bit of a unconvincing captain right now, so you're going to have to be entangled.
He's being a pain in your ass right now, is what you're trying to say.
Yes. So I'll cast Entangle on that square. It's pretty much where Kinnit down to the edge there where Soranasa is. So it's going to go like this.
Okay.
And so they all have to make strength saving throws or be restrained by the plants. They can make a strength saving throw, a strength check as an action on their turns to also try and get out.
All right, so you're trying to go here?
Yep.
Or yeah, okay. All right, double checking that radius is acceptable. 20-foot square. Yeah, okay. All right, if that looks good, I'll go ahead and put it to the
Good to me.
back. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strength checks. All right. Give me just a moment. To show that the different stats, instead of using the same stat block, I'm going to go ahead and an advanced roll. I think is what they call it. Just a roll that's not attached to anything. That'll be for Brahm. Not bad. Oh, that will be for the one on the far right, Soren Moravitz.
Come on, die, be useful.
This will be for the one on the far left here.
Hey, he's trapped.
And the next two will be for the one to the right and of that, and the one to the right of that.
That was the same exact diagonal.
Uh,
I don't think that worked correctly.
what do you mean?
So it's only those 4. From those 3 Soren more were in the entangled zone.
Okay, I guess I was counting him since he was on the edge, but yeah, you're right. Looking at it. Okay, so dropping that last roll. So yeah, one of them is currently entangled.
All right,
Right.
better than none. And I'll levitate there, 30 feet above everybody, watching what the heck's going to happen next.
Those who seem more sympathetic towards you turn to attack or to address their allies. One here turns and just stabs out at it with its spear at the archer nearby. The other steps forward as if to grab and restrain it. But before the other Soren can reach it, the archer drops. Certainly not one of the more experienced or tougher ones, as it didn't even have the initiative to defend itself as that spear blade just came forward. It just caught them flat-footed, and they dropped.
That guy cheated the other guy at cards. I say down to Eris.
Seems a bit more animated now that blood is in the air and weapons are flying. Yeah, to the south, another... Oh wait, one of them steps forward to make... Well, that couldn't do it. So let's see, this one tries to step back up to here. Oh, goodness. And it instead tries to grapple the one in front of it to pull it down. But does not succeed. Just over here, these two, one attacks this one with a spear. The other turns to fire out at the nearest veteran. So first, the gnarl attack to the archer nearby. And a 16, which is going to miss. And the crossbow from this archer toward the one that, I guess, yeah, this Soren more here. Which is a hit. But the figure manages to sort of roll, sticking the heavier shoulder plate of its plate mail armor in the way, tucking its helm down, and it looks like it sort of deflects it off. The arrow still sticking out from its armor, but sideways, high on the chest. I think it maybe just pierced muscle. There's a pained grunt from the Soren, but they don't fall. To the south, another one of the Soren approach, and seems to be watching, uncertain of what to do next. Other Soren move in, and you can hear some of the Lear begin to bay as they charge forward. And they move sort of right up to the edge. They look A couple of them look to you all. You see coming up behind them is Brightleaf, who is watching, trying to discern who's who, but seeing immediately who is attacking you. The Lear warriors are quick to begin to attack. A few of them are prepared with bows as they rush in. The others' weapons and claws beginning to gleam with that strange, fiery, watery magic. Oh, not bows, javelins. So two of them launch javelins at the nearest one. The one that Kennett has marked. All right. As the javelin hits, I mean, they're long, sort of heavy wooden haft. The rough hewn iron sort of haft behind the stone head is thin enough where it bends. It begins like there's that's basically like, yeah, there's feathers like fletchings on the back, but they're made of something hard that's going to catch on the undergrowth. So as soon as this javelin lodges into the figure, they have something else dragging their clothes down and keeping them, giving them difficulty moving. The other sails over the head of the enemy. And oh, I skipped them too much. And then the zealots attack next. Before they do, I think this might be a good place to pause for the session, as we're getting right around on stop time. But let's double check and see how everybody's feeling. Maybe we can go for another half hour, and everybody wants a short break. Maybe we need to stop now. Let's check though. How you feeling, Kennett or DL?
Good. I'm good to go.
All right, Pon, how you feeling?
I feel good. However, I do feel like this is a really good cliffhanger, and I do like leaving things off on big cliffhangers myself.
So do I. How about you, Zim? Or Joe?
Yeah, I'm good either way. Good now, we can keep going.
All right, Big Bri, how about you?
Bit peckish. I could go for a snack if someone wants to DoorDash me something. That'd be great. No, I'm good. I'm good to go either way. I do like the idea of a cliffhanger as well.
All right, well, let's just check in with our viewers, see if anybody has any opinions out there. If we get response from any of our lurkers. So, yeah, Small Wonder, Val, anybody who's checking us out, how do y'all feel about this stopping here as a cliffhanger? Any particular notes or opinions there? Is anybody going to be wildly upset if we pause here for the session? All right, Small Wonders likes cliffhangers. Okay. All right. Well, I think as the GM, I'm just going to go ahead and make that decision. I think it feels good to go ahead and make the pause here, and step into it next session as you all move closer and closer to the pillar, or as you move closer to your goal, your destiny, or your fate, depending on how you might see such things. Let's see here. All right. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and pause there as the zealots turn to stand and deliver, trying to keep you out of the pillar, or trying to finish perhaps the arrest done. Who knows what the zealots will do if they are successful, but it looks like both Brahm and Magi Nigel are ostensibly on your side for the moment. Others seem undecided, or you can't tell. They've moved up, dashed into range, but have yet to act. They seem, other eyes that move in seem worried, tense, confused, and you can almost hear their wheels grinding as they try to make a quick decision on where to lend their help. But let's check in and see how everybody's session was. Let's see. I'd like to go first. This was really fun. I don't know if I said this on stream, but this specific kind of scenario, this GMing, this sort of hopeless cause, is a little bit new for me, and it's intense and it's really fun. And I appreciate how everybody is. I think this is a new experience for some other people at the table. I know Pon, you mentioned this style, this sort of story is really new to you. And I'm really appreciating the way everybody's telling their story around it, how you're reacting to the stimuli, how you're trying to change it, seeing what you can do to make that fate not as hard, but also the way in your various reasons in character for for going forward. You know, this is just really cool session, and I just really appreciate the kind of gameplay that's coming out, and I'm excited that we decided to do this. So that's my feedback for the night. Oh, and also I'm really excited for next session. So, but yeah, um, how about you, Jay or Joe? Any thoughts on our session?
No, I enjoyed it. Got to use a few lesser used things with Animal Messenger and interact with the environment a little bit. Have Gregory, the talking, well, the lizard,
The listening lizard.
listening lizard, and then I like to think of when it got to Brahm, it talks in Zim's voice. So it was probably a very confusing moment the instant it came to Brahm. So someday we'll learn about what the heck that was like from Brahm's point of view. Um, but not today. No, I enjoyed it. You know, one of the OG Landfall players here. Um, I think it's really fun. It's really telling that there's no one way to play D&D.
Mhm.
There's we could play this campaign 100 times and probably do it differently 100 times.
Definitely.
Um, and I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens, though. As Zim, as you might be able to tell, is trying to go a non super non-violent route here, as these people haven't really done anything wrong, but I guess that one other guy disagreed with the approach. I still assume the other guy cheated him at cards, I suppose. um, Other than that, yeah, I'm enjoying it. A lot of opportunity to show, especially like a lot of. I feel like a lot of DMs are worried about sending players against NPC baddies that are maybe a level or two kind of considered out of their limits. A lot of these things have multi attack, which we're lacking currently for any of our people capable of it. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. See what happens.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Thanks for that feedback, Joe. That's great. How about you, Big Bry? Any thoughts on tonight? How was your session?
I thought it went really smooth. I think we did a good job of managing the audio stuff and interacting with the chat. Um, I like to think that the listening lizard was much like the Geico gecko, and perhaps offered to save Brom money on car insurance or maybe weapon insurance in this world. So
Armor insurance. You always need armor insurance.
we could save you 200 crowns a year for insurance. Silly.
Awesome. Thank you for that feedback, Big Bry. How about you, Pon Pon? What are your thoughts on the night? How was your session?
Um, I will say that I'm not entirely a stranger to hopeless circumstance in stories, but in role playing. But what I am foreign to is I think the soldier aspect to it, where it's kind of
Okay.
feels like that's been the whole campaign,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
which is fine. It's provided a ample amount of friction for me as a player, which I've grown a lot, in terms of my learning and everything. So, um, and I think that's kind of a beautiful reflection of the spirit of the campaign, anyways. It's like the harder the trials you go through, I mean, naturally, if you're going to survive, you're going to have to learn a lot. So,
Yeah.
it's just like a rise to a higher calling. And so I think for me, that's sort of what's coming out in this particular session. I had a lot more clarity this time around, which is really nice and reassuring because I do think the aftermath of going through tornado kind of tornadoed my brain a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
nice to know that, I can get back into focus, especially when it really counts, like right now. So I'm ecstatic to uh, see what happens next. Because oh my gosh, this is a cliffhanger of cliffhangers. So, I like to start out with that fresh energy, like that enthusiasm. Let's dig in. Let's get into it. So I think it's a great place.
Heck yeah. Seconded. And thank you for that feedback. That's fantastic. How about you, DL? Any thoughts on the night? How was your session?
That was good. It kind of it's always a challenge when you're fighting people that you might be considered the good guys, right? Gives you a bit of a quandary. You know, do you try to kill them? Do you try to, like put them to sleep and subdue them? So yeah, it's interesting.
I definitely like to put the players in interesting situations where just the stats and stuff on your character sheet are not going to be enough to win. And speaking to something somebody said earlier, me not being afraid to like throw something higher level at you all, it kind of folds in with that, like if you think outside the box in D&D, it's one of the earliest things I learned playing some old school like AD&D with my stepdad and stuff. If you think outside the box in a way that's fun for the GM, you can and fun for everybody. Well, just thinking outside the box, you can come up with plans that are just absolutely devastating, um, more so than just what your stat block can show. And so I think bringing challenges of that sort will kind of force players to uh, think inside the situation if they were actually there. And that's the kind of immersion that I'm really trying to bring to the table, so that these really interesting aspects of our own subconscious, our own stories, our own experience kind of comes out through this different vehicle where maybe we can see it differently, and it comes out, in this role play, or even just things that we haven't explored. We get to sort of simulate exploring, because if we do it well enough and we create enough immersion, then we'll get those physical sensations of danger. You can describe falling off a cliff and a person's palms might get wet at the table, and that's the kind of immersion that I want to create ultimately. Not to scare people and have them nervous the whole session, but that roller coaster effect. So I'm glad that's working. This has been really, really fun, and as we get closer and closer to clearly what's the end of this campaign, like it just becomes more and more fun. I admit that I was a little bit nervous starting this session, because, like I said, some of this story that we're telling here toward the end of the campaign is pretty different and new to me. So being a little uncertain, but y'all, it's been playing it with you all has been really, really great. You all really helped make that the GM's job of making this a fun story. Like you all really, really, I don't know, the way y'all are leaning into stuff and telling your story together. This is just really fun. I appreciate all of y'all. Um, that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off for the night, everybody. Our marvelous viewers, thank you so much for hanging out, supporting us, lurking, chatting, and everything else. We're going to bounce out for the evening, and we'll see you next week. Again, we are the Mythlanders. This has been Landfall session, I believe, 17. No, wait, 18. Nah, we'll figure it out. You'll be able to look at the little thingy, and it'll tell you exactly, because I figured it out earlier.
It's 18.
It is 18. All right, thank you. So session 19 next time on Landfall, and we'll see what happens with this combat and the fate of our strange and noble heroes. Say goodnight, everybody. Pon Pon, Big Bry, Jay Finky, and Darth Locator. Yeah, if anybody, if you all have interest in any of the things that we're doing that we've talked about, you can message me on here. You can find me on Discord, and I will send you the right way. That being said, if you all, Jay Fink, DL, Big Bry, Pon Pon, if you all want to link anything in the chat that you wanted to share with somebody, whether it's a video series that you're watching or a project that you're working on, feel free while I go ahead and start looking for who we're going to raid out to. I'm going to be quiet for just a moment.
I could push something. I mean, I always like to drop my Twitch, which is funny because you can just click on my name in the chat. But I'm just gonna do it for you anyway, just in case that's too difficult.
We deal in redundancies here.
It's fine.
Let's see. I think Darling Creepshow is not actually playing D&D tonight. So, and there's Lynn's Lorien. It looks like they're playing. Ooh.
Yeah, she's cool.
All right, yeah, they got a cool little game going. Looks like they're using. Oh, okay, they're using Tailspire. Okay, cool. So those of you with us watching, stay tuned for me throwing things around my studio and raiding out to Lynn's Lorien, who looks like they're playing some D&D on a 3D map engine. So this should be pretty cool. And Pon, can you raid out to her for me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, again, I will remember how to do that at some point.
Oh yeah, I got you. I actually kind of forgot at the end of my stream today. I've done it like a billion times.
I went ahead and dropped her name in case you don't already have it in our live stream Discord chat.
All right, the race started.
Awesome. Thanks everybody, and good night.
Bye.
I'm just gonna keep doing this.